The Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are both tied with the same record in the NFC South and still have two matchups left in this season that they're going to get off to. So the question is, are the Carolina Panthers ready to steal the NFC South from the Buccaneers, who have won it for the last 2 years? And then we're going to end today's episode talking about the ridiculous call for Jalen Hurts to be benched. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you gotta hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, NFL fans? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, and y'all already know, if you're tuned in, love talking this football talk, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now we have something brewing down in the NFC South division with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers currently both sitting at a 7-6 record on the NFL season. Now they do both have divisional matchups coming up for the football this week, but then they also have an opportunity to go out there and grasp this division when it calls for it. Both teams will see each other within the last 4 weeks 2 times, and I believe that both of these teams have an opportunity to go ahead and snatch the division. Now, for the last few years, since Baker Mayfield has landed in the NFC South, they have taken this division and ran with it pretty much. Now you're looking at the Carolina Panthers, who seems to be trending upward. They have some stumbles on the season, but they look like they are primed to go out there and give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a run for their money. The question is, will they do it? Now we're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are losers of 4 of their last 5 games, and they are, struggling a little bit, but they are getting some of their healthier pieces back, with Bucky Irvin returning, Mike Evans now returning, and hopefully soon they'll be looking to get Wirfs back to help with that starting offensive line. Now, throughout this season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have some good wins on their record. They went out there and they beat the Houston Texans earlier in the season, and then also beat NFC West teams like Seattle and San Francisco. And that is something that we got to look at and take note of when we're trying to see if these guys are ready to continue their reign over the NFC South. Now, if you're looking at the Carolina Panthers, you're looking at a team that is 7-6, as previously mentioned, and they are winners of 3 out of their last 5 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being losers of 4 out of the last 5. Now, on their record, they do have some losses to where they are head scratches, but they have 2 signature wins on their record. That is the Carolina Panthers, and that is versus the Packers and the Rams, 2 teams who currently sit at the top of the NFC standings. And the Packers, the way they played the Chicago Bears the other day, they look like they are ready to make a push. Now, the Rams, on the other end, a lot of people have them listed as their Super Bowl favorites, so that is nothing to sniff at if you are the Carolina Panthers or just a fan of watching good football. Now, what will it come down to? Is Bryce Young ready to go over and really stamp himself and his team into the playoffs? Coach Canales, he looks good down there. Look like he has this group trended in the right direction for the Carolina Panthers. I think it's going to come down to who wants it more, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we know Todd Bowles can dial up that defense, and he can be really, really good with that. And we know that Baker Mayfield will show up when necessary, but will the Carolina Panthers have other things in their minds to where they can go out there and say, no, we want this division, and we're finally going to take it away from you if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Keep in mind that Baker Mayfield throughout his career versus the Carolina Panthers is 5-0. 5-0. He has not lost to this team. How long will that undefeated record versus the Carolina Panthers last, especially with this season when Baker Mayfield, he started off hot, placed himself in MVP conversations to start the season, and kind of has fell off the map a little bit. you know what I'm saying, or at least within that top 5 of MVP candidates this season. So it's going to come down to which team wants it more, which team gameplay prepares themselves much better, and who executes at a high level much better. You see the Carolina Panthers, when they play football, they lean on that run game. They open a lot of things up for Bryce Young to do, and he has made some really, really good throws to Ted McMillan and others throughout the entire season. You know, you just hope that he can be more consistent in that department, but you love what Bryce Young has been able to do. And we know the rocket power that Baker Mayfield has in his arm. He can go out there and throw that thing around like it's like no other, really. And once he gets on a hot streak, he can really lean on that heater to go out there and take this division. What's upsetting though is that the Atlanta Falcons are not even ugh. It's just not good looking at the Atlanta Falcons right now, especially these last few weeks. I mean, they did play a solid football game last week. However, it's just like, bro, y'all got so much talent. How can you guys not get it done? How can you not get it done? And while we talking about the Atlanta Falcons, they actually play a game versus Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight, which is a crucial matchup. Any divisional game, regardless of record, is always difficult. And the same thing could be said for when the Carolina Panthers play the Saints on Sunday in the midday slot at 4:25 Eastern Standard Time. So these are going to be this is a week to where both teams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers take care of business before they match up against one another coming up here shortly. So we're going to see what happens. If you asking me to put it on wax, I'm going to put my money on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucs. However, I will not be surprised if the Carolina Panthers can find a way. But I think it's going to be predicated on the performances by Bryce Young. Because when it was time to ice that game versus the Green Bay Packers, versus the Rams, he was able to do that. Same thing could be said versus the Green Bay Packers as well. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm interested. This is one of the best times of the year for football fans because everything counts now. There's no 82 games in a season for the NFL players to figure it out. You literally got the 17 games that you have on your schedule, and you got to make the best out of every single one of them. And sometimes the lights are going to be brighter than others, and that's when you expect the guys to really, really show up. So we'll see who shows up. You let me know who you taking in the division. Like I said, I'm going to lean on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take the NFC South. But if the Carolina Panthers, they take care of business, they can steal this division. But I'm going to rock with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now we move on to the ridiculous call for Jalen Hurts to be benched. So head coach Nick Sirianni was doing an interview with the representative from Philly, and they talked about, the offense and what has been going wrong with the offense in Philly with the Eagles and how it's been struggling and how things have been going with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reporter came out and asked flat out, has there been any discussion on benching Jalen Hurts? Shout out to Nick Sirianni for shooting that right down and absolutely calling it ridiculous because it absolutely is. I don't think anyone here is sitting there saying that Jalen Hurts is top 5 quarterback in the league. It was once discussed, at the start of the season, but when you watch and you understand, we know like he doesn't have anything that's going to be like, oh, he's a Lamar type or he's Patrick Mahomes type, even though he has beaten Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. But as just the individual talent, we know that there are some limitations with Jalen Hurts. But we do know this man has a switch that he can flip on. Now, however, it's not really a strong conversation, at least right now, because the team in the Philadelphia Eagles is not winning. But at the end of the day, the man just won a Super Bowl in February this season, this year, and has helped take the Eagles to a Super Bowl that they lost. So he's been to the Super Bowl twice. And who you going to turn to? Who you going to turn to? Who are you absolutely going to turn to? When you ask me, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles' problems are way more than just Jalen Hurts. He's a part of the problem, but he's not the only problem. Let's talk about that run game. I believe Saquon Barkley only has 2 100-yard rushing games on the season. Then you have A.J. Brown in their last game versus Los Angeles Chargers dropping passes. And then you have simple concepts. And then you have so much turnover when it comes to the offensive coordinators. The loss of Kellen Moore, it was detrimental. It hurts the team. And you're trying to figure out what Patullo can do for this offense and see, can he put together good game plans for these guys? And there has been so much noise from this team when it comes to media, when it comes to fans, when it comes to players. Bro, it's a distraction. So I get it. Guys might go out there and say, hey, you guys, it's just a question. But I think that the question was a bit offline. You don't talk about benching him, at least right now. Now, if we finish off the season this way and somehow we get into 2026 and then he's still struggling mightily, we have that discussion. But I don't think that all the Philadelphia Eagles offensive problems are just simply slated on a quarterback. How about getting under center instead of running so much shotgun? How about running a damn ball? How about Saquon Barkley being better? How about position players being better? You don't have the dominant O-line that you had last year. You don't. So, but you still have to game plan versus teams and create a story when you craft up, possessions or, call plays or whatever it is to go out there and help the Philadelphia Eagles be successful. We always talk about what the players can do and the execution of what the players should be executing at. However, the coach is supposed to put the players on the field in a position to win. All things can be true. All things can be true when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, Jalen Hurts has to be better in certain spots, but we cannot forget that Saquon Barkley has to be better as well. Kevin Patullo has to be better as well. Wide receivers and offensive line has to be better as well. That's why we consider it the ultimate team sport, because everything has to go in such a way for a team to be successful. Yes, we've seen quarterbacks go out there and put teams on their back and lead them to victories, but so that's the the minute stuff. When you talk about the overall picture, you think about how the offensive line blocked. You think about how the running back in the backfield ran the ball well. You think about how receivers caught the ball and then had some yak. You think about all that stuff when you talk about the bigger picture, including the defensive side of the ball. So this team has to be better collectively, because just a few weeks ago versus the Chicago Bears, they got whooped. The defense got whooped a couple weeks ago on Black Friday. So it's a collective. It's not just Jalen Hurts. He is a part of the problem. We understand he will be the main focus of the problem because that's the position that he holds. But let's have a more contextualized conversation about this so we can understand and not be so damn ridiculous when it comes to trying to figure out why this team is not looking like a Super Bowl contender. Because they still have the same players. They beat some really good teams this season. Beat Green Bay, beat the Rams, So we got to look at this type of stuff and say, hey, we're here with it. Now, let's have a contextualized conversation and try to figure it out. And one of the things that shouldn't be a part of trying to figure it out is benching Jalen Hurts. I think that was absolutely ridiculous personally. And shout out to Nick Sirianni for shooting it down. But hey, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of NFL Central. Before you get up out of here, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you always love football. And y'all already know we're going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.